Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. After UFC 262 and Charles Oliveira's phenomenal performance to beat Michael Chandler for the vacant belt, a lot of people have been wondering who should Michael Chandler fight next. I kind of did individual matchmaker videos for Oliveira and Chandler. You guys can check them out on my channel. I'll put the link in the description as well. But I wanted to do one for Michael Chandler too because he's kind of in a weird spot. This was only his second UFC fight, fighting for a title after that big KO over Dan Hooker. And the performance he had in that first round, I think it almost warrants him a rematch against Charles Oliveira. But I figured that's almost definitely not going to happen. So let's give some fun matchups for Michael Chandler next. Um, the first matchup I came up with is another guy who fought on the card but won. And this is a little bit of a strange matchup, but I think it makes a lot of sense as well. Would be Benil Daryush. Daryush is on a massive win streak in the lightweight division. The names aren't really all that great. Obviously the best name on his resume right now is Tony Ferguson. But people, are talking real down on Tony Ferguson right now. Tony Ferguson's stock has dropped significantly. But I think that would be a fight that would make a lot of sense and it would be a lot of fun. Michael Chandler versus Benil Daryush. Daryush finally got that top rank opponent, Tony Ferguson, and beat him. Michael Chandler looks super impressive even in his loss to Charles Oliveira. He had Oliveira hurt, twice in that fight. And it was, even though he lost and he was TKO'd, I think his stock really didn't go down all that much. So I think match him and Benil Daryush up, and they can be right back. Either one of those guys with a winner over each other can be right back into title contention. I don't think anybody would have a problem. And, it didn't make a lot of sense for Chandler to get the shot, but in a way it kind of did just because of the layout of the division. Everyone was coming off a loss to Khabib, and Chandler had that impressive performance, and then it was a matter of timing. But I don't know how you deny him. He KOs Dan Hooker in the first round. You can call it fluky, whatnot, and I'm always about merit in title shots. But he gets the shot against Charles Oliveira, and he looked great in that first round. And, some guys just get clipped and they go down, and Oliveira was able to survive and put Chandler away in that second round. So I'm not really much of elevating guys off of losses, but how can you not elevate Chandler? A lot of people talking significantly down on him. He didn't deserve it. He only had one fight in the UFC. To come out and he was this close to beating Charles Oliveira. And Charles Oliveira is known, he's on a massive win streak himself, and obviously now he's the lightweight champion. So I just think make him versus Benil Daryush. The lightweight division is super congested right now. There's so many great guys, but there's no clear-cut number one contender right now, other than Dustin Poirier, but he has a fight coming up. The second matchup I came up with, and I think a lot of people, this is the matchup to go with, because I think Benil Daryush is probably going to sit out for a while. I think he said he wants to take some time off with his family. And this guy, the second guy that I'm going to mention, has not fought since last year. And Michael Chandler says he wants to get back in there pretty relatively soon. He doesn't want to wait around after this loss. So he could be possibly fighting this summer. I would like to see Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaichi. And I think this is my favorite fight on the list. This would be a lot of fun. Can you imagine? I mean, Justin Gaichi's striking is amazing. He has great leg kicks. And Chandler's just so explosive and has crazy power. So, I mean, I don't know how this fight couldn't end up being one of the best fights of the year if they put Gaichi versus Chandler. And I think, again, could easily be title implications on this fight. This could be a main event of an ESPN card. I don't think there's a single person out there who would say, nah, I don't want to see Justin Gaichi versus Michael Chandler. It's my personal favorite matchup right now, and it depends all what the UFC does with the lightweight division. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of matchups yet to play out. But Justin Gaichi versus Michael Chandler would be so much fun. I would love to see Gaichi out there trying to chop those legs. Gaichi hasn't fought since he lost to Khabib back in October. So he really needs to, even though he's a proven guy in the UFC at this point and he's never been in a boring fight, he is on a one-fight losing streak. So it's kind of hard for me to really want to throw him into a title fight. I think he could kind of get it just because Khabib retired. But I at least need to see him fight once or twice before getting another, lightweight title shot against Charles Oliveira or whoever's champion. So theoretically, if you book Justin Gaichi versus Chandler and you have Conor versus Dustin over the summer, I think, one of those guys, as in Gaichi versus or Chandler, could leapfrog Conor. It's hard to say because I know the UFC is going to do it, but in my mind, I think if Conor beats Dustin, because Dustin's clear cut, he deserves a title shot right now. He beats Conor a second time. He clearly deserves a title shot. So we'll get Oliveira versus Dustin. But if Conor somehow wins, I know the UFC is going to throw him a title shot no matter what happens, which is so annoying to me. But I would love to see if Gaichi Chandler fight each other, and whoever has the most impressive performance between if Conor beats Dustin or if Gaichi has an impressive performance over Chandler or vice versa. We could see one of those guys potentially slide into a title shot depending on timing and everything like that. I don't know when Charles Oliveira's time frame is for returning. But I'll give you one last matchup for Michael Chandler. And this is a matchup I thought should be made for Chandler's debut. I think it made a lot of sense to really gauge Chandler's skill set. But I would love to see Michael Chandler versus RDA. I mean, former lightweight champion. He's a guy that moved up to welterweight for a while, had a little bit of success. Now he's back at lightweight. And we need a quality matchup for him. He's looking for a fight. I wanted to see RDA versus Islam Makhachev. I believe that was booked last year, but ended up falling through for whatever reason. But what better way for RDA to get back on track than to get a win over Michael Chandler, who's looked super impressive in his last two fights, even though one of them was a loss. And for Michael Chandler, is there any guy who takes tougher fights than RDA? So to get a win over him, it means a lot. I mean, look, everybody that beats RDA ends up going for a title shot or ends up becoming champion. You got Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, Tony Ferguson from a couple years ago beat RDA. So RDA is a great gauge of skill set. He's a former champion. He's a guy who's super well-rounded. And a win over him means a lot, regardless of what kind of streak he may or may not be on right now. Or you look at his resume, his trade wins, losses, or whatever over the last couple years, and his little bit of success at welterweight. RDA is always fighting the toughest guys and taking the toughest fights. So I'd love to see any of those three matchups. My favorite is Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaethje. Let me know in the comments, who do you want to see Michael Chandler fight next? Make sure to like the video, and thank you so much for watching.